Welcome back to Central Florida Spotlight, joined again by outspoken Central Florida Congressman and U.S. Senate candidate Alan Grayson. Thanks again for being here, Congressman Grayson. We always enjoy your insights. While some not necessarily agree with what you have to say, you are outspoken. I used that in the introduction. You pride yourself on that. You're not speaking just to hear yourself speak.
Listen, I'm saying what a lot of other people have been thinking, but nobody else has been saying. And people have told me that over and over and over again. And I think that's a good thing. We have too many people in public life who are tongue-tied. They're gaming people. They're playing this game that you have to guess what's on their minds. I don't see a point to that. You know, I think it's better to be honest with the voters and let the chips fall where they may.
Speaking of that transitions perfectly into Donald Trump. That sounds like that basically describes him as well. Your take as a Democrat on Donald Trump and his campaign.
I don't think that's actually what his appeal is all about. Frankly, there's a heavy thread of bigotry in it. I hate to say that, but it's perfectly obvious at this point that that's part of what his appeal is. But also, he's breaking the mold because he's saying things that people actually believe. And this is a big problem now in public life. You know, I tell people I've passed over 50 amendments in the past 3 years, so I get my stuff done. I hit my mark. But there's very few people in public life who do that, including all of my opponents. And in fact, what Trump is tapping into now is the sense that nobody gets anything done. And that's unfortunate. You know, if Jeb Bush had said, standing on the border with Mexico, I'm going to build a wall here and make the Mexican pay for it, nobody would have believed it. Trump says it, and people believe it. If he said his space program was to build a bridge from the Earth to the moon and have the ETs pay for it, they'd believe it. Because they're so frustrated with the sense that nobody is getting good things done.
So, as a member of the Democratic Party, and it would appear that Hillary Clinton is going to be the nominee, do you think that's who she wants to run against, as opposed to the gentleman the year after his seat, Marco Rubio?
Well, first, I'm not sure that's the case. I mean, I think that Hillary and Bernie are both excellent nominees. I think that Joe Biden would have been a very strong candidate if he had decided to run. So we'll see what the Democratic voters actually decide. Bernie remains ahead in recent New Hampshire polls, for instance. So we'll see. But I think in both cases, they assess the idea that Trump will turn out to be a very weak candidate for the Republicans because, if I may say this, a crude fool. I'm sorry to use those terms about somebody in public life, but that's exactly what he is.
Let's talk about what's happening in Washington. Some say what's not happening, but recently a $1.1 trillion budget deal. Are we seeing signs of a Congress that will work with the president during his last year in office?
Not exactly, but we are seeing hopeful signs, and in particular, I'm hopeful because my stuff is getting passed. In that last bill that we just signed before we left on our winter recess, I had 4 different items in that bill, 4 different Grayson items in the omnibus bill.
Is this due to Paul Ryan's leadership that he is reaching across the aisle?
We are seeing that the Republicans are more willing to allow Democratic amendments to come up to a vote. The Republicans control the process. They have the majority. They have a 9-4 majority on the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee decides which amendments come up to a vote. I'm seeing more and more and more of my amendments, even though I'm a Democrat, at least come to a vote. Now, that's just the start of the process. I have to go out and get Democratic support. I have to go out and get Republican support. But, for instance, recently, we submitted 4 amendments on a particular energy bill. One of them was put up to a vote. That frankly surprised me. And we were able to convince both the Democrats and the Republicans to support it. That was a Grayson amendment to encrypt the information smart meter outside your home so that people can't just drive by your home and read your Social Security number off your smart meter.
All right, thank you very much. Again, thanks to Congressman Grayson for joining us today, and thanks to Imam Musri for being here as well, and thank you all for watching. Join us again next week for another edition of Central Florida Spotlight. Until then, have a great remainder of your weekend, and take care.